Ah, what am I doing here? Bravely default. Uh, open. Yeah. It's been a little while. Oh my god, those dragons. So I think I should be able to get into this one castle place now. And that's right. I can't land the airship here. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so running around here, why can there not be a place to land airship around this area? Anyway, I have these fancy, Sableye gem things. I guess that's what I'm
Did you
gonna
hear
call
that
them now.
sound? I believe the gate is finally unlocked.
That was anticlimactic. He could have at least included a flash, a bang, or a puff of smoke.
Let's head in before Ringabel has a chance to flap his gums again.
It's honestly not the stupidest thing I've ever heard Ringabel say. Anyway, through these doors, finally.
It's freezing in here. Even colder than it is outside.
Look at all those paintings.
Did we just stumble into an art gallery?
They all have a sort of forlorn look to them.
Okay. Let's see, that's the exit. No indication of where I want to go, which is nice. It's been a little while since I explored a dungeon. Since whenever, like, the first world reset thing was. That's one of those stupid lock chests. Yeah, I still can't do anything with that. This does not go anywhere. Perfect, dead ends. My favorite thing ever in video games. Why do I feel like this is the way forward? Unless it loops around. Does it? It does, okay. And of course I want to avoid the straight path forward. That's a treasure chest. Please be something good in this treasure chest. The random encounters in this area are fairly strong, I must say. Dragon Fang, okay, so it said something useful. The game said no. Again though, not getting bad amounts of experience in here at all.
My, what a large portrait. Is that Lord De Rosso?
His wife was sure an attractive one. Oh, and it says something under the painting. Lester, eldest son of the House of De Rosso, future clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy. Born in the land of Eternia on a cold winter's day. So, that's his mother, not his beautiful young wife. And that little baby is Lord De Rosso.
Clergyman? Of the Crystal Adventists?
Is something the matter, Agnes?
The Crystal Adventists were the predecessors of the Crystal Orthodoxy. It is now known as the Old Faith, but it hasn't been practiced in over 2,400 years. How could he have been a member of the Adventist clergy? According to this portrait, Lord De Rosso is incredibly old, even ancient.
Yes, indeed. For I was born of these frozen lands in a time some 2,400 years from this day.
And this portrait?
I was but an infant, as you can see. This is a reproduction, however. The original was lost long ago to fire.
And what of the part that reads, Clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and Cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy?
Yes. As Windvestal, you would be expected to take interest in such matters. But here I delve into the matter of the Old Faith and the Orthodoxy. Allow me to tell of the founding of this land. As you may well know, this land had long been ruled by the Crystal Orthodoxy. However, 15 years passed, the Templar rose up and occupied their lands. Thus was the Duchy of Eternia born. Or so I expect you have been taught. However, the Templar did not found a new state. In truth, he restored an ancient dynasty.
He did?
Long before the Crystal Orthodoxy ruled this land, it was known as the Kingdom of Eternia. In a time 2,400 years past, Eternia was a bountiful land blessed with 4 distinct seasons. The highlands were not as lofty as they are today. People and ideas flowed freely from other lands. The kings of Eternia were protectors of the Earth Crystal and the Crystal Adventists, ruling in peace for generations. To the west lay the castle of the House of De Rosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia with royal blood in their veins. Relations with the royal family were good, and ever did the kings of Eternia treat the dukes of our house with kindness. In return, the House of De Rosso did faithfully serve generations of Eternian kings.
Okay. Does this like repeat that scene?
A family portrait by Lord De Rosso. Little did he know of the approaching maelstrom. Such tragedy that we could not possibly fathom.
Alright, so no, that wasn't very interesting. Now, where is forward? This is safety ring. Sounds interesting. Where is it? Oh, okay. Nullified death. Interesting. If only that worked the way it sounds like it worked. Or would work anyway. Oh, come on. These Cerebrus things are really annoying. Game over in there, by the way, which was fun since I hadn't saved in the whole area. Anyway, that's a dead end. This is... Looks like there should be... Oh, there is something in there. Okay. Hermes shoes. Okay, that sounds like something that'll boost speed or something along those lines. Whereas shoes should be in here, right? There they are. Okay, plus agility. That's definitely what it sounds like. Now it's down here. I hope this isn't too long of a dungeon. It's nice that I get to explore one again, but the Cerebrus things are really annoying and deadly. Please tell me, okay. Black belt. Bunch of items in here. This one happens to be doing what? Black belt. Alright, increased critical rate. Could be useful on, I guess, Ranger. Stupid Cerebruses. Cerebri. Cere whatever. Okay, is this going to be another one of those cutscene things?
What magnificent vestments. This must be none other than Lord De Rosso.
It is a portrait of my ordainment as Cardinal of the Orthodoxy. I was as yet... No, let us move on to other matters. I was born of the House of De Rosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia. Blessed was my youth. My parents showered affection upon me, and I was beloved by the people. And the king bestowed favor upon me as well. Upon royal recommendation, I was made a cleric of the Crystal Adventists, the Old Faith, in my 19th year. I devoted my body and soul to my clerical duties, for king, for kingdom, for faith. Sleep became an oft-missed luxury. But before long, a new tide began sweeping through the Crystal Adventists. There were those who wanted the clergy to control the 4 crystals of Luxembourg, rather than local monarchies and temples. That belief formed the core of the Crystal Orthodoxy. The Eternian royal family, keepers of the Earth Crystal, immediately assented to this new way. I soon found myself appointed to the position of Cardinal in the Orthodoxy. Me, a mere cleric. Cardinal De Rosso. Those were my days of glory. Even now, the mere sound of the then-new title is dear to me. The old faith was remade entirely into the Crystal Orthodoxy, and the decision was made to elect a Grand Patriarch to rule. Thereupon, cardinals throughout the world gathered for a conclave to elect the first Grand Patriarch. Amid the conclave's maelstrom, I was approached by a cardinal who wished for me to vote for his choice. I suppose it was my youth and sincerity that made me reject the notion out of hand. But that was my downfall, for I was forced from the position of cardinal by the fraudulently elected Grand Patriarch. I had been but fervent in my beliefs and ideals. What I did only for the Orthodoxy, and for the people of this world.
The old faith and the Orthodoxy. The Kingdom of Eternia and the Duchy. That was all a bit hard to follow.
I agree. There are no major differences in teachings between the Old Faith and Orthodoxy. They both revere the four crystals. I have heard that the Adventists gave way to the new and truer ideas of the Orthodoxy and faded away.
No wonder the old faith was abandoned.
Yet there is more to the story, for history is not more than accounts recorded by the victorious. To solidify their power, the victors showered contempt upon the vanquished. So it was those who held the reins of power within the Orthodoxy relentlessly pressed for the Adventists' eradication. No one recalls the words of the vanquished if the victorious write them out of history. 'Tis as if they had never existed.
I'd been taught that the battle between the two faiths had been fierce, and in its wake, devastation persisting to this day covered all the lands.
That is an uncharacteristically accurate account for the Orthodoxy, save for their false reckoning of time. It was after the Orthodoxy had begun ruling the world that the endless conflict with the Adventists began. I should know, for I was there to bear witness firsthand.
Lord DeRosso, how could you possibly be that old?
These people don't really get the concept of vampires, do they? Oh my god, they can also talk for forever. This way. How many of these are we gonna have to sit through? Because I really don't want to have to sit through too many of these little, speech things. Is this way? This is a dead end. Okay. Not missing anything over there. I wish a little bit more of the, like, fog of war would open up when you walked around, but I guess if the game is gonna make me go exploring. Not something I generally complain about. Suddenly glad I decided to stock up on ethers and turbo ethers and whatever that was. Let's see. I'm starting to get the feeling that I should think about doing some, that little grinding stuff. Alright, I'm starting to get the hang of dealing with those Cerebrus things. They counter your attacks if you attack them directly, which is not a whole lot of fun at all. And there's another picture. Ton of experience. Now what?
This one shows a castle in flames.
A large army surrounds it. It looks as if it could fall at any moment.
Is this not this very castle? See, this is the western corridor right here.
There's another castle burning in the distance. It's near where Eternian's central command is today.
So then, that's the Orthodoxy's head temple in flames?
Nay, the distant castle in flames belonged to the King of Eternia, and the castle in the fore. 'Tis the abode of my family, the House of DeRosso.
But why? Why would such a terrible thing?
The Kingdom of Eternia was suddenly beset by a great host from another land. We would later come to know that it was a four-state coalition sent by order of the Crystal Orthodoxy. They had been told the King of Eternia sought a return to Adventism and was arming for war against the Orthodoxy. The Grand Patriarchy used this fiction to order a great muster of forces from across the lands. Alas, I failed to heed the many warning signs. I rejected the scheming Cardinal's choice for Grand Patriarch. But he succeeded in luring votes from other factions, and his became the ruling faction of the Grand Patriarchy. It was they who wished to establish Crystal Orthodoxy as the uncontested world religion. Under their orders, the castle of the Eternian King was besieged. It fell in mere weeks. Before long, the great host was at the gates of our castle, and my father lay brutally murdered. The water supply was poisoned, and the Orthodoxy's forces drew an ironclad ring around the castle. By then, the castle sheltered naught but the elderly, the young, the wounded. There was no hope of resistance. I was forced to sue for peace, even offering my own mother as hostage per their demands. Yet that failed to break the siege. The commoners who had placed their faith in my family and me slowly starved to death. It was then that a letter arrived from a man. That man was the Cardinal, who had sought to influence my vote. The Fiend was now the officer in charge of the attack. He wrote that he would not accept my surrender. Such was the hatred he bore for me. Such hatred that he was willing to let countless innocents die. My mother had been murdered. Our castle was consumed in flames. That is the painting you see here.
How could the Orthodoxy do such a thing?
This all reminds me of what happened during the Great Plague.
Indeed. Perhaps the Templar and I are not so very different. To be betrayed by what you believe in. To have your family and those you protect murdered. Though we do not see eye to eye, perhaps it is a shared sorrow that binds us.
Lord De Rosa's castle siege painting.
Such a tragic tale.
Yeah, so people slowly learning that, say, the whole story might not be what they think the whole story is. Next floor. What was that? No.
Lord De Roso's ordainment portrait.
From the old faith to the orthodoxy, Lord De Roso's fate was sealed upon his ordainment.